and we did the same thing as last time.
Thank you, teacher. Okay, assalamu alaikum. Sumbul, can you hear me?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, and we have Sarah. Sarah, can you hear us?
Sorry.
Assalamu alaikum. Okay, I hope I've not muted anyone. And Marhaba, you can hear me. Yeah, but I can't. Have I muted you? Asked to unmute. Oh, you have unmuted. You muted. No, you unmute because we can discuss. Yeah, so you're here. Okay, assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri. Wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Oh, sorry. So what should I do? Admit Hiba Khan. Uzair.
I'm just going to change my name.
Sidan Khan. Okay. Now, is somebody else have not admitted yet?
Unless you can do something.
Okay. Then you have to like give me a. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So be quick. So today the topic we are discussing, as Uzair had suggested based on your surveys, we're talking about the concept of Hayya in Islam. So we are going to have an extensive look at the extensive meaning and implications. Okay. So before we go on any further, why is this not moving? I don't know what's gone wrong with it. Okay, so I would ask you guys, what do you think is meant by Hayya? Yeah? Modesty. Anyone else? Sarah, Hibba Khan. Oh, where is Rashida? I can't see her. Anyone? What do you think? Modesty. Okay, so like we'll be talking about your perception and how do you define in a holistic way. Hayya. Okay, 2 people entered in the waiting room. Admit all. Okay, that's what I did. Okay, assalamu alaikum.
I'm sorry, I think something is wrong with my internet. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem. So can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
That's fine. So we are talking about Hayya. And I think we did a session on this last year as well, and we did just a brainstorm asking students what their different perceptions were. I don't know why my screen is not. Was there, because the thing is when I click on it for the next slide, or it's not. Or maybe I should be an enter, or because naturally this is like it's supposed to be coming up. Oh, okay. So I have to click on this rather than.
So it should work like that as well.
Oh, no, that's fine. Okay, so these were some of the answers that the students gave me earlier, talking about modesty, decency, covering, like covering yourself, dignity, Islamic dress code, shyness, and respect. Do you agree with these different implications or definitions? Shyness, okay. What do you think? Yeah, we're going to talk in the shyness is not being very bashful or shy, but shyness is also like how you conduct yourself. You're not very bold. Shyness is opposite to being too bold.
Oh, but is it in terms of not like trying to speak in front of people?
No. Shyness could be like in maybe you're shy to answer back, be rude to someone, kind of. Yeah, that is, but again, shyness is like the little bashfulness that does come. So we'll talk about it in detail. So yeah, sharam in Urdu and in Pashto we can say. So, so girls, I would like you to unmute your mic so we can have a discussion here. Okay, I'd like to hear your views because it's more of a discussion-based thing. And we are doing a very basic definition. So haya, as it's in Arabic, it's haya is bashfulness, decency, diffidence, humility, inhibition, modesty, self-respect, shame. Like this is covering. Okay, it's Arabic word that means natural or innate shyness and a sense of modesty. So this is like from Islamic point of view, also like because it is like Islam doesn't expect people to be very bold and like discussing about everything. So this is kind of. So I would like to discuss really like from everyone, what do you think are the different aspects of haya? And there's a question as well. So do you think haya of the heart manifests itself in outward behavior of a person? Do you agree? Because most of the people would say, well, haya is in the heart or haya is in the eyes. It doesn't have to be like, you don't need to show it. So what do you think? I really want to hear views of people from here about this. Yeah, Marhaba, you should unmute yourself so I can hear you like here.
Haya wouldn't just be like what you wear or how you wear it. It would be more of an attitude in general, wouldn't it?
Definitely, yes. Anyone else? So it's Hiba. Hiba's answer here. Yes. Right. Sarah, are you there? Sarah, I can't hear her. She's there, but also, I'm here as Zitan Khan. No, that's fine. Yeah. Yes. Marhaba, what do you think?
I think you can say, top higher, but you will only have it if you show it outwardly. If that makes sense. Like anybody could say, yeah, but if it shows outward, then you can't have it.
Claim it. Okay, very good. That's a valid point. What do you think, Uzair? Because you're here, so let's have your views on it as well.
It just sounds like an outward expression of something. So it can be dress, but it can also be the way you speak and the way you behave with other people.
Excellent. Yes. So basically, what it means is that if you have haya in your heart, it will manifest itself in different ways. Does that make sense? So can you give any examples?
Oh, all right. Sorry.
Yeah. Can you give any examples, guys? Anyone here? Any example that if you have haya in your heart, how would it manifest in a person's behavior? Or maybe if somebody's claiming to have haya, but then there is a kind of a big difference in what a person is saying and rather how one is acting, though we are not there to judge others, but just for the sake of understanding this point.
Maybe not like over bragging of your accomplishments, making yourself seem a bit more
very valid
arrogant.
point. Very good. Yes. So we are coming to that. So first we will look at different aspects of haya. What are the different aspects of haya? Can anybody give me any idea, like how would you describe haya? Like how would haya be manifested, in what forms? Excellent. Yeah, so like I said, yeah, speech, as I said, sight, hearing, utterance, like it's your speech, behavior, conduct, dealings. So let's talk about it in like one by one. So what would be haya in your sight? How would you define that?
Feels like a noble way a person conducts themselves. Obviously, you don't have like in their heart, but you really see it implemented when there's like you're having discussions?
Yeah, because to understand the real concept of Haya, we have to understand the concept of Iman or God, like, God consciousness. Because when we talk about like what it means to be a Muslim. So when you're a Muslim, Islam actually means that you have submitted your will to the will of God. So everything you do, first in your heart, you have this iman, you have this love of Allah. You want to just do everything to please Allah Almighty. And then your speech, your hearing, your actions, your deeds, your thoughts, everything would be subservient to the will of God. That makes sense. So everything you will do, if you are conscious of God, that you don't want to do anything that can make God upset with you, or you don't want to tread the path that is in defiance to the the code of conduct that has been given to you by Allah. If you understand, so that basically is Haya, is that overwhelming sense that is engraved in your heart that you are not going to do anything and it will be manifested. So in sight is what everything you see. So you will not see, you will not be tempted, because temptation will be there, but you will keep yourself from seeing anything that is haram or prohibited. Then it's like it's a huge spectrum of maybe what you're seeing on the internet, what you're seeing in person, anything that God has prohibited, you will not see, you will guard your sight. That's the word, guarding your sights from everything that is haram. Does that make sense? So that is an aspect of Haya. If a person has Haya, only then he would or she would guard his or her sight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Same goes for hearing. So you will not hear anything that is un-Islamic or something that you are not expected to do from Allah from that point of view. So if you get the example of a little kid and a mother, that if most of the children, they don't do things because they don't want their mom to be upset or their parents to be upset with them. So if they're going out or playing or their friends say, let's watch this, no, my mom will be upset with me. So if you have that kind of feeling for Allah, that you don't want to, nobody's watching you, but you don't want to do anything that can make Allah upset with you. So you would not hear anything which is obscenity, could be anything like, vulgarity, obscenity. It comes watching and hearing anything. Does that, or anything that is shirkiya or blasphemous or disrespectful. So everything that you think is not appropriate for your hearing, you will just distance yourself from all those places or all those areas where or people who are talking like that. Does that make sense? Again, coming to utterance, like your speech, then you will again, if you have Haya in your heart, you will not utter anything that is obscene, that is indecent, that is rude. It also comes like bihayai in the real sense. When you say bihayai, when you're talking about things which are obscene and disrespectful or not very appropriate, but it also comes to, if you have Haya, you would not even lash out in anger on people. You will have control. Like Haya will kind of instill self-control in you. So you will not go out of bounds in anger, or at times, like even if you're joking with someone, you will have the limits. You will not cross your bounds. You will not hurt anyone. Even if you say Haya is something so subtle that the people who are like the people of Haya, of dignity or decency, at times they will be hurt by others, but they will not answer back. They would hold their emotions lest they hurt someone else. Does that make sense? Because at the end of the day, they want Allah not to be upset with them. That also comes in, they would not backbite. They would not, do anything. So it's not just behaya in a particular sense of doing something which is not legal or thing. It's anything, any action and any deed they're doing. So any word they utter from their mouth, they will think. It's not coming into any category that Allah has prohibited. Does that make sense? And then again, behavior, as Uzair has also mentioned. So their behavior will be full of dignity, respect, decency. Even in the Quran, Allah teaches you how to walk. Walking is also that how you walk, how you talk, how you carry yourself. If you're a person of Hayya, you will have a lot of dignity, respect, composure. You will not be going out of your way to do things, not out of way, like to, like, somebody here said that to be ostentatious or boastful. So again, conduct, the way you deal with people, how you carry yourself and your dealings. Does that make sense? Can anybody give me some more examples of Hayya in any aspect of Hayya that I should have missed? Dress, excellent. Yes, so in your dress, definitely. So yeah, I thought it would cover in the conduct. Yeah, but again, Hayya in your dress, that is a very important point. Yes, guys, I need some feedback. I want you to just Sarah, you have muted yourself. Okay, well, how would I see the chat? Okay, yeah, if you don't want to say something, maybe you can chat, but I think they can, yeah, easily say. But do you agree with these points? And yeah, definitely.
Yes, absolutely. We do agree with it.
Sorry?
We do agree with it.
Okay, that's good. So, yeah. I mean, conduct on social media would also, because I'm talking about from the angle of a relation of a person with God. Okay, so your conduct will be something that everything you're doing, you seeing things, not that okay, others are doing, I'm doing. You are talking about your relation with God. So Hayya is that something, an overpowering feeling of a person's relation with God that dictates the actions. Does that make sense? So this is Hayya. If a person has Hayya, so you talk about Hayya of the eyes, Hayya of the sight, Hayya, every deed that you do, you will have this God consciousness. You will feel Hayya of doing anything bad in front of God, whether you're on social media where you're alone or you're in company of people, whether you're doing it, so it's like you and God, not because most of the people would have an excellent behavior and conduct in front of other people, but when they're on their own alone on social media, then that would be totally different. But again, we are not talking about you do things for showing others. It's like your relation with God. Okay, so again, the next question is that how can Hayya help one helps? There's a wrong help. It should be help one abstaining from sins. So again, as you said, it brings humility and prevents ostentation, show off, boasting, and arrogance. So all those things, if a person is too boastful, person is high-headed, arrogant, all those things show lack of Hayya in the heart, because Hayya will give you humility. You will always be humble in front of God, because even if you have a lot of qualities, even if you have achieved a lot, you will attribute that to the blessing of God. All the opportunities that you had in life, they are because it was a blessing from Allah and not your own doing. Does that make sense? So that's one of this aspect. And again, piety and taqwa, which prevents all haram acts. So Hayya, this is, because that's why, have you heard the hadith that it says the Hayya is the root of Iman? What is the root? You can't see the root. Root is always under the soil, but you can see the branches of a tree. So the stronger the root, the stronger the tree of Iman will be. Does that make sense? So Hayya is the root. If you have this Hayya in your heart, then you will. So now we'll discuss a hadith here. So Abu Masood Utbah bin Amr al-Ansari al-Badri radiyallahu ta'ala anhu reported that Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, among the things that people have found from the words of the previous prophets was, if you feel no shame, then do as you wish. What do you think it means? Anyone?
If you feel like what you're doing doesn't deserve guilt, then you are free to do it.
Excellent. Yes. Anyone else? Mhm. That's true. Anyone else?
I think it means like when you do something wrong, there's an inner feeling in you which tells you that, yeah, this is wrong, and the guilt is there within. And even after that, you do not feel anything guilty or not shameful, then you can do whatever you want to.
Perfect. Yes. So exactly, you got it. Now let's see. There have been three different interpretations. So we'll just look. So yeah, you have already discussed what. So first interpretation is that if you have no uh, mod, this is like my screen is covering my yeah. If you have no modesty, then do whatever you wish, and Allah will punish you for what you do. So again, like it is like kind of when you just kind of if again coming to the example of a teacher or a mother, that if a child is like going not listening, so they say, okay, if you have no respect, then just go do whatever you do, and then you see what I do with you. Does that make sense? So like when you're threatening someone, okay, do whatever you want. If somebody's not listening to you and you say, okay, do whatever you want, and then let's see, then you'll see what I do with you. So it's kind of a threat from God for a person who is it doesn't have modesty. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then there is another. So this mode of expression is well known in the Arabic language, and it's used for threatening someone. Can you see that? And this mode is used by the Quran in Surah Fussilat, ayat 40. So we can have a look. I've not put that ayat there, but yeah. Then it's a second interpretation that if you are contemplating an act and it's an act such that there is no reason to be ashamed of doing it before Allah or the people, then you may do that act. So this is a bit tricky, but it says that if you feel no shame. Yeah, so it means if you feel no shame, then do as you wish. So it's another interpretation which says that if you're thinking of doing something and if you're a decent person and you think that there's no shame in doing something, then do it. Then it means that this, whatever you're doing, is not a bad thing. It's not a sin or something because you're feeling no shame in doing that. Does that make sense? So it's like giving person the sense of judgment, and a decent person, if you're finding no shame in something, it means it won't be a bad thing. So it's the second interpretation of the same. And it's a third interpretation given by Ibn al-Qayyim, who is a scholar from the 8th Hijra century. And what he said is, the meaning is, if a person does not have any modesty, then there's nothing to prevent him or her from doing anything. Does that make sense? So if a person has no shame, no sense of dignity, no modesty, then whatever he or she does, nothing can stop them. There is no limit of haram or shamelessness for them. They will keep going towards all sins. Okay? So as I said, Hayya is one of the most important factors that keeps a person from committing a sinful act. If a person has no Hayya, she will do almost anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So how, like if you just consider, does anybody start doing a bad or Hayya, like, deeds and where you have lack of Hayya? How does it happen? How the shaitan traps a person? Any examples?
Kind of like they can't have people into believing their reality.
Yeah.
So it's so I'll be happy if I do this, so then I do it. And then you sort of lose that wall of modesty that you have. And every time you'll be sort of like breaking down more walls. Even though it goes against your thinking, you're thinking it'll make me happy. And you keep doing it and it's sort of like until you really
That is true. And so as I said, Islam encourages and treasures al-Hayya or modesty. It is one of the most important characteristics that each and every Muslim should acquire or possess. Because at the end of the day, we talked about inwardness. If you don't have Hayya inside, people, there are people who would be doing maybe dressing in dress, like you could say, people can force someone to dress modestly, but that dress would not translate the whole personality. And so basically it has to come from the heart. So again, Hayya modesty and iman, faith, are two that go together. If one is lifted, the other is also lifted. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because if haya is gone, then your iman is gone. Can you give me some examples? You know, there is another hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It says that Muslim, they should not go near the, so it's like in Urdu, it's called the charaga, go to the boundaries or go to near the boundaries, lest you fall into it. So what Hayya does is that maybe in the slowly and gradually you start drifting towards it. And then it says that it is like kind of a slope and then you will keep going in. So maybe it's like the veils, when slowly the veils are lifting on the other side when you're going spirituality. And this is also when you slowly and gradually things start looking trivial to you. Maybe in the beginning for a person, and it is whole, if you look at study the society as well, if you go 100 years back, even in the Victorian age, the women, they wouldn't go out without covering their head, and they would have a cape to wrap themselves, and they would not go out without their hair, and they would even have those gloves and all. And slowly and gradually, one after the other, these veils were lifted, and this is so in the name of fashion. And so can you these are the different tactics of shaitan, because shaitan wants the believers to lose their haya. Once the haya is lost, then haya also not just in dressing or your conduct, it's also in your dealings, like your honesty, integrity, decency. Because naturally, if a person, first time, if a person is cheating someone, he would have a lot of haya, he will feel shy in doing that, is it? And then once he gets used to it, then it would just not, it would become a habit. So making something a habit is where you, so you can't do that. So you have to slowly and gradually go towards it, and then you're into it and you won't realize that. And there is also hadith that the heart, so it's not directly related to haya, but it is that when a person sins, there's a small dot, black dot on the heart, and when it's repentance, tears of repentance wash it away. But then for the people who keep doing this, the whole heart becomes so dark. So when your heart is darkened, there is no beauty or haya inside, then you will do whatever you do, then you will not be worthy. Is it making sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would like to hear some examples from you, like if you see every day. Oh, Brother Dawood is here. Sorry, I did not hear. Yes, it's the aspect of peer pressure as well. I have admitted Brother Dawood, but I can't see
But
him.
what's interesting is, you know, homosexuality, for example, was not accepted.
Yes,
It was a minority.
excellent. Yes.
And now it's become a majority. So peer pressure doesn't work in that situation, but it's really interesting how a minority has affected the majority and made them change.
But this was peer pressure, basically, if you see, because they pressurized, they got onto the highest levels of government and influential people. So they pressurized from that. So it was pressure from the top. But yeah. 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 So that, yeah, but we were talking about the traps of shaitan. So can you describe how shaitan's traps have brought people, you know, just throwing away their haya and doing all the things that are obscene? Mm-hmm.
Once you just open that, and then it's just a gateway into everything. So every sense of guilt you feel when you do something, just to listen to that, because that could be a small gateway into bigger
Yeah.
harm.
And peer pressure is a very big example, a very valid example for youngsters, because again, we were talking about utterance and obscenity, because, you know, everybody is, the concept of daring, when you dare somebody, then you would do anything to prove that dare. That's a very big trap from shaitan. So you prove yourself, so it's like self-gratification that you show you are someone and then you leave behind. So showing the values and culture and codes of conduct as something obsolete and backward and unfashionable. Does that make sense? So the fashion is a way that is dictating people how to dress. So then people, I'm not saying just Muslims, even Christians, all people, like everybody has this innate sense of decency, of dignity that God has given. Even if you look at the children, they have this sense. They don't want to dress up in obscene dresses and all. If you tell them, they don't like it. But then the norms of society, they force them to do things which so somebody else is dictating. So naturally, when as I said, hear the voice of God, when you are close to God and your God is the main source of inspiration, you don't want to do anything that will take you away from the pleasure of God. But if that voice is just died inside you, and then you are pleasing Allah. So again, I don't know whether you understand Urdu. There's a very famous poet, Allama Iqbal, and it's one of his verse that वो एक सजदा जिसे तू गरां समझता है हजार सजदों से देता है आदमी को निजात. That means that one act of worship, or one, when you sajda, when you do, you know what sajda, when you do, so if you're like bowing to Allah, it does not in the literal sense, but in the real way, that your only source of inspiration and worship is God, then you are saved from having a lot of other deities. So you have one God, you have this firm belief in one God, then your whole purpose of your life is to please your one God. You're not bothered about making other people happy as long as your Allah is happy with you, then your life is easy. But when you are trying to please everyone, you want to fit in the societal norms, so you have to be fashionable, so you have to follow the fashion trend, then you have to be kind of bold and have that conduct where you can talk about everything, you can discuss profanity, because that is in, that is, again, fashion is not just dress code, fashion is also how you talk, what topics you can discuss openly, which looks like you are very bold and you are very in, and you can, so all those things, these are the traps of shaitan. They are sucking you in. Does that make sense? So I give you a little example. Have you heard about Lauren Booth? She was Tony Blair's sister-in-law. She reverted to Islam. And once in her interview, she was saying that my little girls were so happy that I became a Muslim. That his mama, you will not wear those dresses. Assalamu alaikum. So, and she said that because she had those low neck dresses and all. She said, my daughters were so happy. Said, now you will not. So you're a Muslim. Now you will not wear those dresses. And she said, I was, oh my God, my little girls, they even did not like it. So as I said, Islam is fitra, deen is fitra. So everything in our fitra is to be decent, to be dignified, to have respect. But all these norms of the society, they are pulling us apart. So these are the khutuwat shayateen. These are like the kind of traps of shaitan. Can you give me some more examples of these traps of shaitan that take away from our basic innate haya from us? What about the music industry? Like we talked about the fashion industry a bit. And
there's, I just think like the current society, the push towards accepting LGBT, it's a push to accept pedophilia, because that talk is starting to creep in now into like the experts who are now saying, no, like these people need to engage in these acts so they feel happy and they'll be mental.
yeah.
So I think it's just another wall of
So Luqman, you have an idea what we are talking about today? Can you give him a quick feedback? Yeah. Yes, so we are talking about the concept of Hayya in Islam, and we are just discussing that it's not just like, the way you dress, or like if you talk about Hayya, the first idea that comes is like, okay, Hayya is related to women who should cover themselves up and they should wear a particular dress code. But I think it's way, way wider than this. So naturally, that is also a point. And then again, we don't need to judge anyone on how they dress or how, but if you talk, so this talk is not for like us to start judging people based on this criteria. This talk, I think, should be more inspiring you to strengthen your relationship with God and kind of see yourself that, okay, if if I'm doing what, every time you do something and you think, okay, will Allah be happy if I'm doing this? So then that is like more of going to the spiritual side of it rather than so I'm not like trying to judge others or make you think or judge others. But again, we need to talk about a little bit on the dress code. Like, do you understand what is the dress code that Islam expects maybe a man and a woman, for man and for a woman? You have an idea? Like if it goes from the fiqh point of view, let's touch on that as well. Yeah, that's fair. So the aura. So what is the aura for a woman or a lady or a girl? Anybody?
From your wrist to your ankles
Mm-hmm.
and your face, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about neck. There's a debate on neck.
No, there's no debate.
There's no debate.
Maybe on the feet there is, but so
Yeah, the feet is.
basically aura, yeah, of a woman is that so whatever you dress, the way you are dressed up for your Hajj, so your face and your hands. Other than that, you should be covering your whole body, and that is like respect. And again, there is a lot of debate on the, because this is another shaitani way that they say, okay, you suppress the woman, you're suppressing them because they're covered. So again, that's a totally different debate. We can have a sisters chat on that. But what I mean is that this is not suppressing, it's giving them respect. It's giving them freedom, empowering them, and this is respect. So I would rather, like, for example, for a sister's point, like you can consider like with your own sisters and mothers, like if you're dressed up in a decent attire, you step out, because I think I had this discussion with women in the Central Mosque once, and we focused on this topic, that if a woman or a girl or a lady is dressed up in this Islamic code, and they come out even in the society, because the role of a woman, especially when it comes to a mother, is for nurturing, for giving tarbiyah. So if a woman comes out even in the society in this dress, so she would have incurred those feelings of respect in the hearts of even the men around, because they would look up to her as a mother, as a sister, or as a daughter, like, because she's dressed up decent. So the feelings of respect will be generated. On the other hand, if a woman is dressed up in obscenity and, like, not appropriate decent dresses, then I'm not saying that it should be, but that is like naturally if you will not incur that respect from men, and so you're like kind of making yourself an spectacle of ridicule. But then at the same time, it's that men should still be strong enough, because then another is a time Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, have you heard about this hadith, that a time will come that a woman fully clad in jewelry or something, he mentioned 2 points, that she will travel from one point to another and no one even would look at her. And that actually happened in the time of Hazrat Umar, when there was time of prosperity, where you did not find any people who would need zakat, where Muslims were actually, the Islam was implemented, that it actually happened that a woman who was wearing full jewelry and she was all dressed up, and she traveled during night time from one place to another and nobody even raised an eye to her. So this is like from the other point, men have to have this, Islam has this concept of lowering your gaze and not staring at people, but then it's both ways. So if we're talking about our relation to God, so whether we are male or female, we have to follow the obligations. And naturally, if as a person our life is spent on this point, that we are focusing on Allah's pleasure, then we would be living in this world, would become a heaven. But yeah, these are but so as I said, Hayya is part of Iman. Hayya does not produce but goodness. So anything that comes from Hayya is goodness. That's what the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. Okay, any comments any questions? I think people have left, already gone over the time like always. But yeah, no, I would like to rather have, do you have any comments or questions? I think it was the last slide. Yeah, no, understanding. Yeah, okay, so we have just kind of understanding the various meanings of Hayya. Hayya has been variously translated as modesty, diffidence. I think we have talked about this. So what, though it's not the last slide, but we have already discussed this. So it's an unquestionably positive quality that stems from a strong sense of self-respect and taqwa. So we've discussed that. And it enables one to shy away from the very idea of doing a deed that is displeasing in the sight of Allah.
She's the Somalian
Mm-hmm.
from America.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Such people could be good role models for the youth. But a lot of we hear about a lot of models, but unfortunately, at times you have some people who just do that just to grab more attention or more this. Because the other day I was reading about another because I don't watch these Indian movies or anything, but it was so much on the social media that is some Indian actress. Yeah, she has, and then she married a mufti or something.
Yeah.
But then I was like, when see the pictures of her wedding and everything on the media, so it did not show as if, because then some people were saying that now naturally because now she has aged enough, she won't be back in the movies. So astaghfirullah, we're not there to judge others, but again, we don't need to be like overly like, kind of getting impressed by people like that. At the end of the day, it's like, again, you should encourage others who are doing it, and naturally, but don't, because at times what happens is that such people who are doing it try to become role models for the youth, and then youth try to follow them, but in reality you won't find the truth. So then mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have to be careful. That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. Yeah, because another thing, again, we talk about the khutuwat, the shayateen. There's another like shaitan's trap is that you have this hero worship. The thing is, we as Muslims, we should be studying the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should be studying the life of Ummahatul Mu'mineen, Bibi Fatima Zahra. We should be reading about those characters, and we should be actually, if you want to have this hero worship, it should be for those characters. Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Khulafai Rashidin, Hazrat Ali's life, if you read them, they were the real, like, even if you read about the mathematical miracles of Hazrat Ali, have you ever read about how, I mean, it was amazing calculations he did, because Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that he's the door to the city of knowledge. So, I mean, I used to read about all those things. So you will be so mesmerized by their personality, each and every trait of their personality. Start with reading about the seerah of the Prophet, and then all these people that you worship, like the hero worship, whether they're the players or the actors or the YouTubers, they will look so dwarfs in front of those real personalities. But it's only because we are not exposed to the real gems we are looking at. So as if a person has never seen real diamonds, you can kind of sorry impress them with fake stones. So I even forgot my water bottle. Yeah. Yeah, but these are the points. we need to consider. What happened to my throat? Yeah. If one does something in secret that he would shy away from doing in public, this means that he means nothing to himself. That means it's talking about a person's own self dignity and self respect. That you are not doing something in public because you are afraid of people talking against you, but you will be doing the same thing in private. Yeah, that's another aspect to that. Yeah, no, but that's another point. There are two different aspects. So, when we're talking about something of a person in relation to God, and then we're talking about a person in relation to society. So there are two different aspects of that. So if you're talking about something in relation to God, that if I am a person, for example, who has Hayya, so even if I am sitting in public or in private, if something obscene, let's say I'm talking about if an obscene video comes up, I would feel this Hayya in my heart that I would not want to watch it because I know that it's something not appropriate. But if a person, like, let's say if you're sitting and something obscene comes in and say, oh, no, 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 I can't watch it. And then as soon as you're on it, okay, let me see what it is. So that means you have no self-respect of your own. You have no dignity. If a person has this dignity, yeah, that's not for showing others. You're not worshipping other people, or your iman is for Allah, not for the public. Does that make sense? And then coming back totally to the other point of view is that for a person, again, it comes to like me, if I'm a person and I have my link with Allah, if I have a shak about a person that he or she's doing haram, and I am just trying to pry on that person's privacy, I'm like looking through closed doors and peeping over, that's like, and trying to bring whatever his or her private life is to public, then it's a big sin on me. Even if that person is doing a sin in private, at least he has this Hayya that he's not doing it publicly. Does that make sense? So whatever he's doing is between him and Allah, because Allah is all forgiving and all merciful. He can always repent, and the mamla will be between God and that person. Does that make sense? But anybody who's bringing that to public eye, he himself is committing a graver sin, because Islam does not allow people to do this toe on other people where you are prying, because how good are we? Like, you think that, okay, I am perfect, so now Allah has given me this job to be a marshal or a sheriff to go and kind of judge other people and pass verdicts on others. Does that make sense? So again, so we're talking about from the societal point of view, societally, if a person is, let's say, drinking secretly, it's between him and God. The day he steps out of his door with a bottle in his hand and he's drinking publicly, then all the hudud, when you're talking about the Sharia law, hudud, then it applies to that person who's doing some haram openly. Does that make sense? Because he is creating fitna or destroying the society. So it is like illicit. But if a person is secretly drinking, you cannot apply the hudud on this, because a person who is secretly, Islam does not tell, even in Islamic law, there is no such law that you will go and you start peeping into people's personal life or prying onto people's personal lives. That's not allowed, not even from the law perspective of the law. But anybody who's doing something openly, that is haram. I mean, like, naturally, if there is a restriction on drinking and police finds out, or they are trying to do an investigation, that's a totally different thing. But talking about the people's, because some people have this kind of a habit who want to try to know what's happening inside other people's personal lives, and then they bring it to public. So, and then I think last time I mentioned that a man came to Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala, and he said, don't you know that so and so are talking this against you? And you know what Hazrat Umar replied? Hazrat Umar said, could shaitan not find a worse person than you to bring this news to me? That means that you are the worst person. You become shaitan's advocate or shaitan's tool. You are a tool in the hands of shaitan, because shaitan instigated you to come, because you're not supposed. That's backbiting. Two people, if you hear something, that's why I say that if anything is discussed in a mehfil, that is amana on you. So not like if you're hearing something about Quran and Allah's word, you're supposed to go and spread it. But if, let's say, two people are talking about a third person and you are there, it's your amana. You don't have to go and share that thing with the third person, because that would create fitna. That would create resentment. And also, if somebody, let's say if three friends are laughing and talking, the totally different atmosphere, somebody even if talked about someone and joked about someone, but if you take it to that person, that will be in a totally out of the context. So you have to be careful about. Islam lays a lot of like stress on the conduct of a person, of dignity, of respect. And I mean, we can do a session on hukukul ibad and hukukullah. I think that would be very relevant. So you know what is hukukul ibad? Rights of other humans on you. I think next time we will talk about that, and we'll define hukukullah. Hukukullah is rights of Allah on you, and hukukul ibad are the rights of other human beings on you. So then we'll cover all these hadiths and the sayings, so you will understand that though we are like Hayya tells us, God consciousness tells us to abstain ourselves from all those things, but at the same time, we don't have the authority to pry into other people's lives and pass comments on other people's lives. Does that make sense? Yeah, so yeah, basically that was the last slide that, and I think I discussed it also. I was not going through, but yeah, any questions, guys? I can't see anybody who's there. I think Rashida is there with us. Yeah, any questions, anyone?
No. Thank you so much for explaining this.
Yeah, do you think, yeah, was it something new? You already knew it, but it's just wanted to.
Yes.
So, yeah, would you be happy to do something on Hukukul Ibad next time? Then I can.
Yes, sure. I don't know about that. Like, I have no idea. So I would love to know about it.
Inshallah, because that covers everything. And then again, when you're talking ghibat in utterance, sorry, ghibat is one of the things, backbiting that people do. That's also, if you have Hayya, you won't be doing it. But then Hayya is related to Hukukul Ibad as well. So inshallah, we'll talk about that. Okay. So may Allah accept what we have talked today, and may Allah bless you for coming, and may Allah increase our ilm. So Rabbi Zidni ilma, and Jazakallah for joining us, and inshallah we'll do Hukukul Ibad next time. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Walaikum salam. Thank you.
Allah Hafiz. Yes. How do I think I stopped sharing, but I need, yeah, how would I do that? God, yeah. It's only because okay, yeah, recording. Stop.